A hobo is somebody who travels and works. A tramp is somebody who dreams and travels and doesn't work. And a bum is somebody who travels
and drinks.
And our category being?
I think we're more of a tramp.
I think we're more of bums,
we
actually.
We might be bums, yeah.
Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Luv Subbin.
And where are we?
We are at the National Steamtown Historic Site.
Yes.
And just like the Yingling Brewery, you know, we go up and down I-81 all the time, heading south from Vermont, and I have always wanted to stop here. And
we see the signs all the time. And
it just worked out. So, yeah, we're going to check out some trains and some...
We're on the way to Promised Land State Park, and we're towing, and we found some parking. Yep,
you can see there's ample parking for the RV.
Yep.
They
have some interesting RV parking.
Yeah, the actual RV parking required back ends. You can kind of see that from back there.
Yeah, it was very
But
different.
we're like, you know, there's like no one here right now, so we just kind of pulled in this way. Let's go ahead and learn about trains. So we are standing in front of the Roundhouse Turntable, right?
Yeah.
And what would happen is the trains would get onto this little bridge here, and using that motor, they would turn the locomotive onto its little bridge and feed it into the roundhouse.
And feed it to their assigned stall so they can get their repairs done and stuff.
And the smokestack would actually fit under a flue so that they could run it. And the reverse was done to get the trains out.
Yeah.
But this is so interesting.
It's like a train repair shop.
It is.
So many people enjoy the beauty of national parks. I enjoy the beauty of commerce and just the interesting industrialness of this. I mean, I think the scenery is actually beautiful in its own way.
In an industrial kind of way, and that's exactly correct. We've said many times on our channel, there's a zillion channels out there, hiking Moab, with 1,000 other Instagrammers. We like seeing what mankind has produced, and it's all its technological glory here. This is just wonderful, and to think how this changed our nation.
And this is
trains.
Just industry and commerce at its best. Exactly like when we went to the Golden Spike Museum when we harvest hosted there. That was fascinating.
Exactly. So in this exhibit you see the inside of the roundhouse where the engines would be brought in for their maintenance, to include things like this pit where you could easily get under and service beneath of the train, and a lot of heavy work being done here, I bet.
That's a funny smell, I think. Oh, there's the steam vents over there that would allow you to run the engine. Let's go take a look.
So my 2 cents is that this is not just a display of the roundhouse, but it looks like locomotives and stuff are actually being restored here. Tools, the stuff, forklifts indicate to me that this is actually where it's being done some work. Cool, because some of these trains are beautiful.
So these were common in all the cartoons when someone was being chased on a railroad track. So they would go up and down and try to...
I think Wile E. Coyote used these quite a bit.
Yes, Wile E. Coyote, Bugs Bunny, that sort of thing, yeah. But a lot of these buildings here right now are closed for repairs, so they really have only one building open over here, and that's the History Museum. And I think they might have a bookstore and a museum store. So this is a Pullman car, and this was used to take executives back and forth on the railroads. And my great-great-grandfather used to work for Pullman, and he was a cabinet maker.
We have a piece that he made at the house, right?
We do. This reminds me of our train trip that we took with the Amtrak down to Disney World. And it's sort of like a 40s or 50s version of that.
Like the little roomettes. Let's look at one. You get the sink like we had, the tables, chairs, and the overhead bunk. Just like a little roomette. Except I bet on this car their toilet worked. On our Amtrak train, we went from New York to Orlando with not a working toilet. It is truly amazing how we have the acceleration of technology. This is a mail car, and what would they be doing while they were driving the tracks?
Well, it looked like they were sorting the mail because all of these little boxes have different locations on them, like California, Indiana, St. Louis, Iowa. So I think they probably, if they had they even have a zip codes on them for some.
For Cynthiana.
So zip codes too, so they could.
And they would have the mail bags back there on this car.
Yep.
Amazing how technology has changed so quickly.
Yep.
From this to Starlink internet.
Yep.
I find this very fascinating that the conductors each had their own unique punch when they would punch your ticket, and every conductor had a unique punch that was like no one else's, and it was registered to that conductor. So that's, I find, pretty fascinating, especially because we took the commuter rail from Newburyport, Massachusetts to Boston once, and they had little tickets, and the conductor came by and punched it. And I never really recognized the historical significance of that until I was looking at this.
It's almost like his personal signature.
Exactly. I think exactly it, yeah.
So this one is all about the hobos, and they were the ones that would travel and look for work. Occasionally they would carry these 6-foot planks, and they would actually ride on the brake rods of the train, which were about a foot above the tracks. And they said that was a very punishing way to go, of course, because when the train hit 50 or 60 miles per hour, you can imagine all the cinder, soot, and rocks that were just thrown up onto this person. And
Yeah,
so,
especially if you woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
yeah, you don't want to work.
Boom! You were
So it was
toast.
called riding the rods, and it was considered a very punishing way to travel.
But hobos had their own language, like you lived in a hobo jungle, is where they lived.
And they would make marks and signals to show where it was good to have a meal or a good place to sleep.
So as you can see, you can take a little train trip around the grounds here. We're on a tight schedule, so we weren't able to do that, but it looks like some other folks are enjoying it.
So the train ride looked interesting, and it was not that expensive. It was only $6 for adults and $1 for kids, but we're sort of on a time crunch because we have to get to our park.
This is really neat here, and this is how the steam locomotives work, but it's also how a lot of modern boilers work for large industrial boilers and that type of stuff, because I remember at my plant where I worked, I got the opportunity once to go ahead and do the annual maintenance of the boilers, and I spent a week with our millwright doing that, and it was super fascinating. But basically, you've got, with a typical engine, you would have the firebox here, which they were used with coal, and it would heat these fire tubes, which would be surrounded by water, and the water would then boil, create steam, and that's what they would use to run the pistons and everything.
It was at pressure, right?
Yeah, exactly. The steam pressure that was created through there. Now in our plant, we used actually fuel oil and a burner nozzle to heat the fire tubes to boil the water. But when these things explode, you can see from this picture right here, when these things explode and somebody makes a mistake, it is a catastrophic event. And thankfully we never had that happen when I was around.
Bluey kablooey. So I've always wondered what the purpose of a caboose served. I figured it was just sort of the end of the train, but it was actually the conductor's office, and it's also the train crew's living quarters. And so they would come back to the end, and they would sleep back here, and the conductor would do his paperwork, and also the hole in the roof, the little cupola that they could go out top, also allowed the conductor to look at the train and see how the train was going.
So it's kind of like the modern day sleeper cab for an 18-wheeler.
Right.
Where the trucker might do his paperwork, he'd sleep, and recreate, and etc.
Yep.
All right, I think we can go into this caboose. Let's check it out.
So this was the cupola where the conductor could actually climb up on these ladders and go and look out the front windows and see how the train was proceeding, and also look at the back too. So it gave us some high visibility there.
And like Sydney said, there was a place for
Paperwork.
office. There was a little steam stove or wood stove that you could probably cook coffee on and stuff. And these are probably beds and pretty cool.
So those are the brake rods right there. That's probably where the hobos used to sleep. I can't imagine being that close to the wheel and that close to the tracks. Yeah,
I bet there were many a hobo death that went unreported.
Yeah, I think I would rather have stolen into one of the cars.
Yeah. Trying to figure out which of these signs would be better. Never but never question the engineer's judgment. That's a good one. But once an engineer, always an engineer. I kind of side towards this one, but that's just me. All right, well there you have it, the
Steamtown National Historic Site.
And you know something's good when I buy a patch?
Mm-hmm.
It becomes patch worthy for my jacket. So we had a great time. This is such a gem. If you're going anywhere near Scranton, Pennsylvania on I-81, especially north or south, it's right off the expressway. Probably about 2 miles. You gotta go through town.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect, but it was definitely doable with our trailer.
And it had some big parking lots, so it was good. And we spent 2 hours here, and I think we could have spent a little bit more time.
Yeah,
they had some interesting tours that you could have taken.
Yeah, touring the machine shop, getting a train ride.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this was great. Let's go ahead and head off to
Promised Land State Park.
So if you like this video,
Give us a big thumbs up.
if you think we've earned a subscription, click the subscribe.
And comment below if you've ever been to Steamtown National Historic Site and what you liked.
Because we come out with RV and Airstream related videos just like this one every Tuesday.
Thanks for watching.